So look at this hadith, look at it deeply and see how the first part is what we really see. And the first part is what we see in ourselves. You know, sometimes we stay up late at night asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. Or asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us with something. And the same thing, we're always asking Allah. I mean, a lot of us after the prayers, we sit there and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our sujood. And these are the things that we know. But, did we sit down and think about our sustenance? Think about our work. Think about the things that we do. Are they halal or are they haram? Are we doing things that are preventing our dua from going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or are making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not accept our dua? These are things that we really have to sit down and think about it. Because, you know, people can come to you and tell you, you know, your dua has to be answered. You're doing all the right things. But what those people don't know is what's really within you. Those people really don't know, is your sustenance halal? Is your rizq halal? Do all of us know all the rights and wrongs in our profession? Or do we just go with what people tell us is right and wrong? You know, if somebody comes and tells you, even if your manager tells you need to do something, if it's wrong, you need to stop it. Because this could be the reason why your dua and prayers are not answered. And then we know and see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger gave us certain times, certain occasions, certain months and days where the dua is mustajab, is answered. The same thing, there are situations that we're put in that our dua is mustajab, is answered. Our prayers are answered. Do we know what those times, dates, or situations, and do we use them? Do we capitalize on them? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, gave us those things. And He told us, "Id'uni astajib lakum." Ask me and I will answer your prayers. So are we doing our part? We know that during Jum'ah, there is 1 hour, dua is answered. Our prayers are answered. When you sit down and think about it, in the past 4, 5, 6, 7 Fridays, how many times did you really sit down and do it? I mean, this really could be as simple as, you know, you sitting there and every hour make a dua for 5 minutes. And chances are you will get that hour. I mean, we're talking about 24 hours. It's not like we're talking about, you know, you have 1 hour in a month or 1 hour in a year. In one day, 24 hours, we have the dua is mustajab. The same thing for the person that fasts. Before they break their fasting. And the woman that's giving labor. You know, and the person who's traveling a lot. And again, in Ramadan, you know, the last 10 days of Ramadan, and there's, you know, Laylatul Qadr. There are so many things. We pray 5 times a day. And in each prayers, you know, we do sujood. A minimum of 2 times. We know the closest point to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is during our sujood. Do we really just sit down when we're doing our sujood and do the basics? Or do we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because we can't get any closer on this earth to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala other than during our sujood. So do we capitalize on that or no? I mean, do we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for things just because, yeah, we know that we need to do dua and we say, Ya Allah, I really need your help. Give it to me. Or do we really ask for it. You know, when we were children, how much did we ask our parents for a toy? Or when we really wanted something, and they didn't give it to us the first time? What did we do? Did we just stop? No. Some of us even cried and cried and cried and cried until the parent gave us that gift. So why don't we cry to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we want Him to help us in whatever prayer we're doing?